Okay, real talk. Which would you rather be in a fight? A tank or a ninja? Because that's basically the entire difference between God of War and Sekiro, and it's so fundamental that understanding it changes how you think about combat design forever. One game makes you feel like an absolute unit, a man-god who can throw enemies across the arena with one swing. The other game makes you feel like a sword master who needs to read their opponent like a book, parry at exactly the right frame, and turn their own aggression against them. Both games will destroy you if you're not playing right, but they destroy you in completely opposite ways. And here's what blew my mind when I really dug into this. They're both right. They're both solving the same problem, how to make combat feel incredible, and they chose two paths that couldn't be more different. One is about raw power, one is about precision. And depending on what kind of player you are, one of these games will change your life, and the other will make you want to throw your controller. Let's figure out which is which.
God of War 2018 and Ragnarok operate on a philosophy of consequence through weight. Every action matters because every action feels massive. When Kratos swings the Leviathan axe, you're not performing a light attack. You're throwing a magical weapon the size of a car. The game is saying, you are powerful. Act like it. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice came out in 2019, a year after God of War, and it basically said the opposite. You are not powerful, you are skilled. Sekiro doesn't care how strong you are. What matters is whether you can read your opponent's movement, whether you can time your parries perfectly, whether you can understand the rhythm of combat like it's a dance where one mistake means you lose all your posture and get stabbed in the face. These aren't just different combat systems, they're different philosophies about what makes you feel badass. God of War makes you feel badass by letting you be a badass. Sekiro makes you feel badass by making you earn your badass status through sheer mechanical skill.
Let's talk God of War first, because understanding this is understanding what the game is actually about. God of War is a power fantasy wrapped in a narrative. You are playing as Kratos, a man who is literally one of the strongest beings in existence. The game never wants you to forget that. Even in Ragnarok, when he's older and slower, he's still devastating. When you hit an enemy, the game tells you about it through sound design, visual feedback, and animation. There's a reason every swing of the axe has this whoosh sound and enemies get ragdoll back 10 feet. The game is constantly reminding you, you are powerful. And the combat system reflects this. You've got the Leviathan axe for freezing and ranged attacks. You've got the Blades of Chaos for rapid combos and close combat. You've got abilities like Wrath of the Machine and Guardian Shield. And each one of these is overwhelming. Like in God of War, when you use a finishing move, you're not just killing an enemy, you're crushing them. The camera zooms in, the music swells. It's a moment. But here's what's crucial. The game gives you room for error. If you mess up a combo, you can still dodge away and reposition. If you get grabbed, you can mash buttons to break free. If you're in trouble, you can drink a health potion, activate a shield, call for help. The game is working with you to keep you feeling powerful. Even on higher difficulties, it's about learning enemy patterns and executing properly, not about reacting to frame-perfect inputs. And the camera, that locked over-the-shoulder camera, is part of this too. You can't see everything, so the game compensates by giving you audio cues, by telegraphing attacks, by making sure nothing can hit you from angles you literally can't see. The game is designed around the idea that you should feel in control at all times. The progression system is about getting better gear. You find better armor, you upgrade your weapons, you unlock stronger abilities. Every RPG number that goes up is the game saying, look, you're getting stronger, and you feel it. A fully upgraded Kratos is a different beast than a freshly out of tutorial Kratos. That's the God of War promise. I will make you feel like a god, and I will never take that away from you. Sekiro is the opposite approach, and it's brutal. Sekiro doesn't care about your stats. You can't level up your attack power beyond a certain point. The game doesn't want you to get stronger. The game wants you to get better. There's a difference.
One is mechanical, one is cerebral. Sekiro is demanding the cerebral. Combat in Sekiro is about posture. Every enemy has a posture bar. You break their posture by attacking and parrying. You parry by pressing the block button at exactly the right moment. Not close to the right moment, exactly the right moment. And if you time it perfectly, you get a sound cue and the enemy staggers back. If you time it wrong, you take damage. If you time it way wrong, you get hit with a combo that sends you flying. And here's the thing that separates Sekiro from other FromSoftware games. You can't outrange it. You can't dodge away forever. The game is forcing you into a rhythm. Sekiro has this mechanic called the Makiri counter, where you press the dodge button when an enemy is about to thrust with a spear, and Sekiro junks onto their spear and counterattacks. It looks insane when you pull it off. But you have to learn it. You have to watch enemy patterns until you can predict them. You have to practice until your hands know what to do before your brain catches up. The boss designs in Sekiro are literally about testing whether you've internalized these systems. Lady Butterfly doesn't have a ton of health, but she has a rhythm to her attacks that you need to understand. Genichiro Ashina will absolutely destroy you if you're not reading his patterns. And then there's Ishin, the final boss, who has 4 different movesets across his phases, and you need to know how to respond to every single one. And there are no healing items that just work. You have limited Estus flasks, and healing takes time during which you're vulnerable. The game is saying healing is a strategic choice, not a safety net. You need to think about when to heal, not just if you need healing. The game also doesn't have an upgrade system in the traditional sense. You can find prosthetic tools, a flamethrower, a shield, a loaded spear, but these aren't about getting stronger. They're about having options for dealing with specific problems. And you're still limited because you can only equip certain prosthetics at a time. The game wants you to work within constraints, not break out of them. That's the Sekiro promise. If you learn to read the rhythm of combat, you will become unstoppable. But I'm not going to make it easy.
Let me give you concrete examples of how these philosophies play out in actual combat. In God of War, you're fighting this boss. They've got a sword, you've got the Blades of Chaos. Your strategy, freeze them with the axe, get close, unleash a combo of rapid blade strikes, dodge away when they attack, reposition, and repeat. If you mess up, you have health and shields. You can use Spartan Rage to become invulnerable and brutal. You can call Atreus to shoot arrows and distract the boss. You have options to save yourself. When you win, it feels like you overpowered them. In Sekiro, you're fighting this boss with a sword. They've got a sword, you've got a sword. Your strategy, watch their attacks, learn their patterns, parry the right moves, counterattack when their posture breaks. If you mess up, you take chip damage. You have a limited amount of healing. You can't just brute force through it. You have to be precise. You have to read their rhythm. When you win, it feels like you've mastered them. You understand them better than they understand themselves. God of War's boss has health. You whittle it down. Eventually, they die. There are phases where they change attack patterns, but you're always just depleting the same bar. Sekiro bosses have health, but that's almost secondary. The real mechanic is posture. You can get a boss to break posture without depleting their health by 50%. When their posture breaks, you get a death blow opportunity. One well-executed death blow can take a boss from "this will take 5 minutes" to "this will take 2 minutes." The game is rewarding precision with time efficiency. God of War has difficulty settings. Higher difficulties don't just make enemies tankier, they make them more aggressive. They give bosses new attacks. They punish mistakes harder. But the fundamental approach is the same. Be powerful. Overcome. Sekiro has no difficulty settings. Well, it does now, but in the original release there was one difficulty, Sekiro, and that was your only option. The game isn't asking, do you want to be challenged? It's saying, here's what challenging means, and if you don't like it, you can quit. That's a statement.
So, when you're actually playing these games, what's the emotional difference? Playing God of War feels like conducting a symphony. You're managing multiple moving parts, your weapons, your abilities, your son's support, your health, your resources, and you're combining them in ways that feel natural and powerful. Boss fights are epic. The camera pulls back to show you the scale of what you're doing. The music builds, there's narrative context. You might be fighting someone you care about defeating because they matter to the story. And when you win, you feel relieved, powerful, and satisfied that you've seen an incredible scene play out. Playing Sekiro feels like learning a language. The first few hours are brutal. You don't understand the grammar. You're going to lose to enemies that seem impossible. You're going to question your decision to play this game. But then something clicks. You learn a boss's first attack, then their second. Then you start predicting the combo. And one day, you're fighting them and your hands just know. You're parrying without thinking. You're countering on instinct. You're dancing through their entire moveset. And when you win, it's not relief, it's triumph. You didn't overcome them. You conquered them. You proved you're better. God of War makes you feel like a god. Sekiro makes you feel like a master swordsman. Both feel amazing, but they're completely different kinds of amazing.
So here's my real question for you. Which one speaks to you? Are you someone who wants to feel like an unstoppable force of nature? Someone who wants combat to be a power expression? Then God of War is your game. It's going to make you feel amazing. Or are you someone who wants to test themselves? Someone who wants to prove they can master a system? Someone who gets off on the feeling of finally beating something that destroyed you for hours? Then Sekiro is your game. It's going to demand everything from you, and you're going to feel it when you overcome that. And here's the beautiful part. Both of these games are masterpieces at what they do. You don't have to choose. You can play both. You can be someone who loves the narrative power of God of War and the mechanical mastery of Sekiro. They're not competing. They're showing two different heights that action games can reach. If you've played both, let me know in the comments which one grabbed you more. And if you haven't played Sekiro because you think it's too hard, I'm begging you, give it a real chance. The game that seems impossible on day 1 becomes poetry by day 30. Trust me on that. Thanks for watching. Next video, we're getting into territory that's going to blow your mind. So stick around.